What's going on, guys? Devin from Reef Dudes. I've now been running the Santa Monica turf scrubber on the tank for a little while now. It did take a little bit to get it kind of broken in and working. At first, I had way too much light on it, which actually stunted the growth to an extent. So I had all 4 lights going. There's actually 6 in it, and I dropped it down to 1 light until stuff started to grow. Then after that, it did kind of have a bit of a slime algae that was on it. It was actually preventing the hair algae from sticking to it. So after that, it took a couple cleanings to kind of get it brushed off, and then the hair started to stick to it. So it's a little bit of a learning curve for the first time using an algae turf scrubber. So you can see there's tons on there, so we're going to take this off and give it a cleaning today. One kind of cool thing with this one is if you wanted, you could just pop the whole thing off of the base and just let it overflow out. And if we look at the tower just below, you can see the water flow just flows out of this, so not a big deal. You don't have to worry about turning off your flow. So if we look inside the housing, there's actually 6 of these lights inside. These are what Santa Monica calls a Gem 5. And we got 3 on each side, so it is a ton of light. So far I've only actually used 4 of them. I haven't had a need to use all 6 yet, because they are very bright and powerful. Like I said earlier, when I first started growing this, it was almost too powerful. It was too much light. So I learned I had to turn it way back in order to get things to start growing. To remove this, you just pop off the end piece and the screen slides outwards. You can kind of see all that lovely algae that we got growing on it, so tons and tons of turf. This one's probably overdue for being clean, so today we're going to get it done. And also little bits have fallen off, you can kind of see it's fallen down and stuck to the tray inside. So this guy is far overdue for good cleaning, but it's great to see him finally growing lots. I actually at one point accidentally kind of killed it because I turned off the flow shooting a video about the Apex voice automation when I turned off my reactor flow, and that actually killed the algae because there was no flow and it dried out, so that was kind of no fun. But we got that one resolved, got everything restarted, and if you guys attended my Neptune talk, I even did a thing about how to set up your controller to prevent you from buggering up stuff. So I'll probably do a future video on that one and show you guys how you can set up alerts to let you know if you forget to turn something back on. Look at all that lovely algae. So all this green hair algae is nutrients that were pulled out of the water. Now when this is done, I'm probably going to give them a bit of the middle, a bit of a scrub too. And this is going to hopefully help any little bits that didn't attach to it for future. Easiest way to clean this off is just to use a credit card or something to scrape it. Now when I put this back on the tank after cleaning, I'll show you guys how to do it. But one of the important things is getting the proper amount of flow for your scrubber. And to get the proper amount of flow, you want to make sure the screen's entirely covered. If you have too much flow, like just raging rapids down the side, it's actually harder for the hair algae to attach. If you don't have enough flow, it's not really going to grow and hook on the screen. So you kind of got to find the happy medium, and that's a good chunk of tuning your algae scrubber for the first part. Now if you're using the scrubber for a while and your nutrients are getting too low, the easiest way to control that is just reduce the amount of light or the time the light is on. So I'm currently running at 24 hours, but over time I'm sure I'll drop it down to more 14 or 16 hours as time goes on. But using a credit card, just scrape it all, the easiest way to clean it. Get all that lovely algae. So if you wanted, you could just slide the screen out of the top. I mean, that's the quick and easy way. Just because I haven't done the base in a few weeks, I figured it's time to give this a good cleaning as well. Now it didn't actually come with this bulkhead in the bottom. I added that myself just kind of to block the light, because the light was shining down to the bottom of my sump. And just to prevent any algae from growing, I put this bulkhead in along with the little screen, and it just stops the light. Kind of channels it. You might see the odd speck, but it stops a lot of light from going into the sump, which keeps it nice and clean. Now if you guys do have that type of slime algae in there, or you really want to get a good cleaning, just using a little scrub brush like this works well. Something you just grab at the dollar store. I think this guy's from IKEA. So if you take a look at the gem lights inside, they're actually fully encased and waterproof, which is one cool feature of this turf scrubber. So these are fully submersible. You could have this partially in your sump, which will, one, keep it quiet, and secondly, if you turn off your sump, your water level rises. If these lights get wet, it doesn't really matter. So it gives you a lot more mounting options because you can have it so low in there. So now that we got our turf scrubber, our screen, everything's nice and clean, we can just pop it back onto the base. And this little hole in the middle will line up with it, and water starts flowing over the screen again. So it might be a little bit harder to tell, but you want the screen covered. You don't want any dry spots in it. You want to make sure everywhere's getting it, but you don't want to have too strong a flow. Otherwise, that may inhibit the algae from attaching to the screen. And once that's done, we just pop the top back on and plug in our lights. Now I'm actually gonna try mixing up the lights this time. I think I'm gonna do 2 lights on a top and bottom on one side and the middle light on the opposite side. All right, so we got top and bottom on one side and the middle on the other. So I'm gonna try this and see if I notice any of the difference or see if it fills in that middle section a bit more for those growth rings. One thing is just make sure the wires in the back are behind your sump and nothing's close to the water line. The lights are waterproof, but the connectors are not, so make sure those are out of harm's way. Now you'll also notice I have the base below the water line, and I do this on purpose to get rid of any waterfall noise. Getting rid of that, it makes sure everything submerges underwater, and it's going to keep it silent. Now you can also see at the bottom I do have that little intake strainer on there, and that kills basically any light that would otherwise be escaping and lighting up, potentially growing algae on the bottom of the sump. So super quick, easy little mod that I think is working pretty well.